Hello, dear students. Good morning to all of you. As we have discussed about the terms of privileges allowed to private company in the previous class. So, first of all, in the previous class, we have discussed about the types of company in which we were talking about the private company, and I have told over there that if the private company is fulfilling the aforesaid provision, it ceases to be a private company and losses all the exemptions and privileges to which it is entitled. So if the company is not fulfilling the aforesaid, it means the minimum 2 and maximum 200 members can be there, and the company must have to use private limited after the end of its name, and it must have to restrict its member to transfer its shares. So if the company does so, then company can avail the following privileges, which are as follows. First is, a private company can be formed by only 2 members, whereas 7 people are needed to form a public company. And the second term, that there is no need to issue a prospectus as public, is not to invite is not invited to subscribe to the shares of a private company. And third is, allotment of shares can be done without receiving minimum subscription. In the case of public company, as we know that minimum subscription, it means 90% shares must be subscribed by the public until or unless the company has to refund its money to the public. But in case of private company, there is no need of minimum subscription. Next, a private limited company can start its business as soon as it receives the certificate of incorporation. It means there is no need to wait for the certificate of business commencement, but a private limited company can can start its business after getting incorporation certificate or registration certificate. And if we are talking about the number of directors, so in private company only 2 directors are needed, and maximum number of directors can be 15, as equal in public company as well as in one person company. And the last privilege is, that is, a private company is not required to keep an numbers index of members, while same is necessary in case of public company. So dear students, in context of public company, a private company has so many privileges, but these privileges can be afforded, or these privileges can be prevailed or gained by private company if it fulfills the required criteria to be a private company. Until or unless if the private company is not fulfilling the criteria, then it is quite impossible to gain the privileges. Now dear students, as we have discussed about the public company and private company and a one person company, now today we will discuss about the difference between public company and private company at first. So first of all, if we are talking about the minimum paid up capital, so in case of minimum paid up capital, at the time of incorporation, a private company must have the minimum paid up capital of rupees 1 lakh, whereas a public company must have the minimum paid up capital of rupees 5 lakh. And if we are talking about the minimum number of members, so dear students, in private company minimum number of members is required 2, whereas in public company it must be at least 7. And about the maximum number, in private company maximum number of members cannot be more than 200, but in public company there is no restriction on the maximum numbers. Regarding the maximum numbers, in public company it is said that it can be equal to the number of shares issued by the maximum number of shares issued by the company, or the number of shares distributed or divided by the company of its capital. Now, if we are talking about the transferability of the shares, so dear students, as we know, according to the definition, a private company restricts its transferability of shares through its article of association, whereas in public company there is no restriction on transferability of shares. A public company shareholders can easily transfer its shares to anyone. Now, if we are talking about the issue of prospectus, so dear students, a private company is prohibited from inviting the public or public for subscription of its shares. That is, private company cannot issue its prospectus, whereas a public company is free to invite public for subscription. That is, public company can issue its prospectus. In simple way, we can say that a private company can issue its prospectus for share subscription to the general public, but a public company can issue it freely. There is no restriction on the public company. Now, if we are talking about the number of directors, so on the basis of number of directors in public company, and minimum number of director is required 3, whereas in private company minimum number of director is required 2. And if we are talking about the consent of the directors, so there is no need to give the consent of the directors of a private company, whereas the directors of a public company must have filed with the registrar a consent to act as director of the company. It means in public company, directors are free to file a register to the registrar for being a director, but in public company, the company director must have to give the consent to the registrar that they are ready to be the director of the company. Now, if we are talking about the qualification of shares, or simply we can say qualification shares, so the director of a private company need not sign an undertaking to acquire the qualification share. Qualification share basically denotes the number of shares for which a person, for which the member has signed or the member has promised. So in case of private company, director does not need to sign on an undertaking, but in case of public company, the director is required to sign an undertaking to acquire the qualification share of the public company. Now, if we are talking about the commencement of the business, so a private company can commence its business immediately after its incorporation, whereas a public company cannot start its business. Public company cannot start its business until a certificate to commencement of business is issued to it. Now, if we are talking about the share warrants, so dear students, a private company cannot issue its share warrants against its fully paid up share, but a public company can issue its share warrants against its fully paid up shares. And now if we are talking about the further issue of shares, so a private company need not offer to further issue of shares to its existing shareholders, whereas a public company has to offer the further issue of shares to its existing shareholder as a right share. So in case of private company, if there is existing shareholder, a private company need not to ask to the existing shareholder to subscribe the share or offer or provide the right to subscribe the issue share at first, and thereafter the other shareholder can be asked or other person can be asked. But in public company, this is the right provided to the existing shareholder, that they have the right to get the shares first issued by the public company, and after getting the approval of the existing shareholder in the general meeting of the shareholders only, and thereafter the rest shares can be issued to the other public. Now the next difference on the basis of a statutory meeting. So in private company there is no obligation to call the statutory meeting of the members, whereas of public company must be call its statutory meeting and file a statutory report with the registrar of companies. Now if we are talking about the quorum, so dear students, in the case of private company, any two member present personally and can fulfill the quorum, but in case of public company at least 5 members are required to fulfill the quorum or to constitute the quorum. So however, the article of association may provide and number of members more than the required under the act. And according to the managerial remuneration, the total managerial remuneration in case of public company cannot exceed 11%. It means in public company, manager's remuneration cannot exceed 11% of the net profit, and in case of inadequate profit, maximum of rupees 87,500 can be paid, whereas these restrictions do not apply on private company. Private companies are free, they can allot the managerial remuneration according to their requirement. Now if we are talking about the special privilege, so dear students, some special privileges are availed by the private company, but there is no any specific privileges gained by the public company. So dear students, these were few basic differences between public company and private company. Now we will discuss the difference between private company and OPC. So dear students, if we are talking about the difference between private company and OPC, as we know OPC is also a kind of private company, but here private company means minimum 2 members and maximum 200 members, and OPC means only one member is running privately the company. So if we are talking about the shareholders in the company, so in OPC only one person is there, and that will incorporate and run the company. Moreover, the director and the shareholder in the one person company is same individual who holds 100% of the share of the company. But if we are talking about the private limited company, so there is minimum 2 shareholders and maximum 200 shareholders are required during the incorporation, and also the shareholders of the private limited company can be any entity. It means the entity of the private limited company members are separate. Now if we are talking about the fundraising, so fundraising is quite an article an intricate part of OPC, as there is only one member who has the entire financial burden on his or her shoulder. But in private limited company, they can get funding from various ventures, capital and angels investments, etc. Now if we are talking about the board of directors, in OPC only one person is there, and he is only the member of the board of directors of the company. Therefore, he or she does not need to call annual general meeting or board meeting. But contrary to this, in private limited company, there is a board of directors which consists of minimum 2 directors and maximum 7 directors at the time of incorporation. Also, it is mandatory to convene 4 board meetings and 1 AGM in financial year. And on the basis of investment by NRI, non-resident in India or foreign national, so in OPC, no foreign nationals or NRIs are required. So the best advantage of the having a private limited company, NRIs cannot intervene in OPC, because for starting the OPC there must be Indian citizen and they must have to be in India for 187 days in the last financial year before the commencement of the business. But those people who are NRIs or foreign nationals, they can invest their money only in a private company, not in OPC company. Now, if we are talking about the business activities, so dear students, the certain activities like an investment in securities, non-banking financial activities are restricted in OPC. However, a company restricted as a private limited company can engage in such activities taking the approval of the concerned authority. So, dear students, in OPC, non-banking financial activities, these are restricted. And however, the company registered as private limited company, so it can engage in any of the above activities after getting the approval or after taking the approval from the concerned authority. If the company wants to do all the transaction or all the non-banking or financial activities, they can. But an OPC company cannot do so. Now, if we are talking about the compliance requirement, so there are certain similarities in compliance requirement of both the OPC and the private limited company. Both the OPC and private limited company need to file an annual return with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and income tax return with the income tax department. Beside these similarities, both of them are entitled to need to get their accounts audited every year. So dear students, in OPC, basically simply we can say that OPC is going to be operated by one person, and therefore all the terms are going to be controlled by that person. So in case of OPC, if one person is running the business, he or she is the completely or solo owner of that particular business, and we can say simply the managing director or investors or the shareholder, he or she is there only, and there is no need to conduct any kind of meeting because only one person or only one member is there. And the finance, if we are talking about the financial burden, they have the complete financial burden on their own shoulder, because no one is going to contribute any amount in the company. But in case of private company, there are number of members, at least 2 and maximum 200 members are there, so they are financially sound. But there is a privilege also provided to the OPC that after successfully running the business of OPC for 3 years, it can be also converted into public company as well as in private company too. So if the company wants to convert itself in public company or private company, it must have to fulfill the lock-in period of 3 years. After the 3 years, the OPC company can be converted into private company. It means it will not be OPC private limited company. It will be completely known as private limited company, and it will prevail all the facility provided or available to the private limited company, as well as if it wants to convert itself in public limited company, it can also converted itself to public limited company. So dear students, today we have discussed about the difference between public company and private company, and second is private company and one person company. So I think you have got a lot today. Thank you.